Returning to 1983. I forced my eyes open and stared at the bloody newborn girl in my arms, pinching myself hard to stay conscious. In my past life, I'd only discovered my son wasn't biologically mine when he needed a blood transfusion after his 8th birthday car accident. During my desperate search for my real child, John had me committed to a psychiatric hospital while he ran off with Lily, building their perfect life together. Now this certified lunatic had been reborn, digging nails into my palm. I focused on the squalling infant. A daughter. Of course I'd never found my son before. Who'd imagined someone swapping their son for my girl? I'd interrogated every mother from the maternity ward. Been called delusional by all. No one would surrender their own child. They'd said John had used this obsession to declare me insane. That final betrayal came when he'd promised to show me a suspected swapped child, only to deliver me straight to asylum doors. For 10 years, those walls held me. Only Pearl visited regularly. Pearl had become a schoolteacher after technical college. Her gentle chatter about students and life my sole comfort. She'd also kept me updated on John and Lily's affairs. During her last visit, she'd limped and skeletal and bruised, confessing her husband's abuse over her decision to sponsor a student. We'd hatched an escape. Wearing Pearl's clothes, I'd gone to confront her drunkard husband. After retrieving the kitchen knife from his peanut-strewn table, I'd settled accounts. Then I went searching for answers at my old home. Hearing Frank, "Drink your egg tea before the arcade," froze me. My son with John was supposed to be Frank, the bloodied knife still in hand. I watched the limping teen panic at my appearance. He fled to the familiar house where I glimpsed him embracing a mole-eyed woman through the door crack. "Jane. How did you?" Lily's voice shook as she cowered. John arrived from the textile mill shift, sweat beading at the sight of my weapon. "Jane. Please. I'm still looking for our boy." His lie earned 3 days of restraints when I trusted him again. Pearl's later letters told of her thriving after her abuser's accident, adopting her sponsored student, reuniting with parents. Her final note promised to keep searching for my lost child. Then I woke up here, reborn in this delivery room, nails drawing blood as I watched nurses clean my newborn. "You look so thin. I thought you wouldn't make it. But here you are. Here's your baby girl. 6 pounds. She's got a strong cry. Don't call family yet. Nurse, please let me rest here in the delivery room first." I knew natural births only required brief observation before discharge. The nurse nodded, meeting my gaze. Tears streamed down my face as I stared at the whimpering newborn. My hands trembled against her swaddle. This was the child I'd carried for 10 perilous months. My flesh and blood. What horrors had she endured in our past life? Where had John sent her? The guilt choked me worse than labor pains. Last time I'd passed out after delivery, waking to a chubby 10-pound son. John had chuckled then. This rascal nearly killed his mama. Now I cradled my daughter fiercely, determined to witness John's next move. After resting, I found renewed strength. The night shift nurse whispered. Fed her water. Changed her diaper. She's sleeping. Bless these angels and scrubs. John wasn't waiting outside. I handed my daughter to Cousin Pearl, embracing her tightly. She hadn't married that abusive creep yet. Small mercies. "Let's go home. I'm starving. Help me cook a chicken later." My heart felt lighter than spring air. The universe had granted me rebirth without childbirth trauma. "Where's your husband?" "Men just need to earn paychecks." He was probably with Lily, whose baby came 3 weeks earlier. How had he managed affairs with her during our newlywed days? Some men deserved worse than divorce. John returned reeking of breast milk. "Where were you?" I demanded. "Factory emergency. The foreman needed me to fix a loom." His carotid pulsed visibly as he fluffed my pillow. How vulnerable that vein looked. "Haven't even seen our son yet." He moved toward the bassinet. "Stop. You reek of milk but claim ignorance? Also, it's a girl." "A girl?" His shoulders stiffened. Must have held someone else's vomiting infant at the hospital. He shrugged, exhaustion etching his face. "Want chicken noodle soup?" 3 days later. Factory Women's Federation members arrived with formula and eggs. John's eyes glittered at the provisions. Foreman Lou. I'll need John's paternity leave extended. My recovery's slow. My father's former apprentice hesitated. Jane. John's taken too much time off already, please. John cut in urgently. I can't leave Jane alone. When Foreman Lou relented. I told payroll, direct deposit John's wages to me. Babies cost fortunes. The accountant nodded. John turned sheet white. Last life. My $80 monthly salary had funded his schemes while others scraped by on 30. I never bothered with John's salary before. But now I realize it must have been subsidizing Lily. Family members receiving salaries is perfectly normal. After everyone left, I asked John to bring me paper and pen. What are you writing? Leave me 100 eggs. Take the rest of the eggs and malted milk powder to the corner store to exchange for cash. The milk powder sells for $8 per can. And 200 eggs should get us $20. Hurry up. Then buy me some apples later. His eyes flickered before he finally gritted his teeth and left with the goods. I kept John running around all evening. What a satisfying day. I started by making him cook sesame paste porridge for breakfast. Then boil eggs which he had to peel and serve in the porridge. Next came cleaning, scrubbing every inch of the living room floor, including under furniture and in corners. He washed cloth diapers, hung them to dry, then aired out the bedding for me and the baby. Lunch required fish stew preparation. After cleanup, he peeled and cubed apples for me, complete with toothpicks. His afternoon included a 1-hour nap before laundry duty. By 3 p.m., he steamed egg custard for my snack. Dinner prep, kitchen cleanup, and sterilizing all dishes with boiling water consumed his evening, along with preparing tomorrow's dry diapers. Exhaustion weighed on him. But whenever he showed irritation, I'd pout, "Are you upset because I had a daughter? Is this about preferring sons over daughters? Can't even make me a proper meal without complaining? You promised my father you'd take care of me when we married. Don't I deserve support during postpartum recovery?" "No, Jane. I just need fresh air," he'd say with exaggerated tenderness, gazing at me like some tragic hero. "I know you're tired. Why don't you rest? Go take a walk." His eyes lit up as he grabbed his jacket. He returned an hour later slinking through the door like a thief. "Why the sneaking?" I demanded, noticing his concealed bundle. "Jane. Look what I found around the corner, a baby about our daughter's age." He presented the swaddled infant eagerly. "See those tiny lips? Those chubby hands? Let's keep him as our girl's playmate." His hungry stare fixed on the boy. I glanced down, sure enough. It was Frank. I'd worried my constant supervision might prevent him from planting this child. "Fine," I agreed. "But you'll bottle feed him. My milk's reserved for our daughter." John shot our baby girl a disgusted look I recognized too well, that garbage disposal glare. This little schemer had caused trouble since birth. Last life. John siphoned my colleague's nutritional gifts to Lily, keeping Frank plump. Now, Lily's skeletal frame could barely sustain herself, hiding in some rented hole to birth this child while John's unpaid salary left them destitute. The snot-nosed Frank wailed raspily. But my 3-day-old daughter slept peacefully. Her tiny fists curled like rosebuds. His cries didn't disturb her. "Jane. Comfort Frank. He keeps crying," John pleaded, bringing chicken soup with forced cheer. "He's adorable, just feed him." "No. One baby gets breast milk. Besides, he's chunkier than our girl, he'd drain me dry." I sipped soup dismissively. Who abandons such a healthy baby? Go check for missing reports. As Frank's screams intensified, John awkwardly rocked him. "You seem natural at this. Jane. We can afford 2 kids. Just add another plate, raise them as twins." He pressed, laying guilt trips thicker than the malted milk he'd sold. "I worry we'll neglect him if we have our own son later," I countered, setting down my bowl to play with my daughter. "Never. Who'd know he's not ours? He'll grow up to take over your position." There it was, his true scheme. Who would consider someone else's child when their own daughter is right beside them? John hasn't held Frank once since he was born. I didn't want to get too attached in case it complicated things. Unless you get a vasectomy, so we'll only ever have these 2 children, then I'll feel secure enough to care for him properly. I glanced over my shoulder at John cradling Frank. Are you serious? Dead serious. Show me the medical certificate. And I'll start nursing him. Jane. Where did this boy come from? Pearl arrived with her homemade pork trotters. Trailed by her boyfriend, the abusive creep I'd killed in my past life. I studied them with a smile before answering. Your brother-in-law found him outside. Wants me to raise him as our twin sibling. The boyfriend flinched under my gaze. Then awkwardly smoothed his hair. He was scared of me. Found him? Pearl whispered. Eyes wide. Is he lying to you? The boyfriend chimed in nervously. My mom always says you shouldn't take in strangers' kids. While Pearl went to dish out the pork trotters, I asked him why he'd chosen her. Mom says teachers make good wives, they can manage households, educate kids, and help with chores during school breaks. He recited it like a mantra. Mom says quiet girls like Pearl are perfect for becoming devoted mothers. Plus, her parents are young enough to babysit for years. Only children are ideal. Chatterbox. Mama's boy. Future wife beater. Xiao Zhu. Since you're here, do me a favor. Frank's wails escalated. But I ignored them. Your brother-in-law's getting a vasectomy today. Could you pick him up from the hospital? I sent him off. Relieved when his nervous shuffle carried him out the door. The moment he left, I told Pearl to lock up. 2 things. I said. First, dump that mama's boy. Not only is he spineless, I accidentally checked his pulse earlier. He's sterile. Second, deliver this letter to Nurse Xiao at 4th Hospital. Bring back whatever document she gives you. I'd prepared it knowing Pearl would visit. In my past life, I'd learned enough about Nurse Xiao to trade favors. Hospital protocols were lax these days. Getting a mental health certificate wouldn't be hard. Pearl pocketed the letter. Frowning. Since when do you read pulses? I never liked him anyway. But my parents said, she trailed off. Shoulders slumping. They claimed an only daughter needs a reliable man since I have no brothers to protect me. Are you dumb? No brothers? You've got me. I flicked her forehead. We grew up together. Did you forget who taught those neighborhood boys not to mess with you? Before I could finish, Frank's screams pierced the air. Pearl reached for a clean cloth from my bedside stash. I snatched it away. Leave it. Let your brother-in-law handle his foundling. He volunteered for diaper duty when he chose sterilization. To make me raise this child. John had undergone surgery. His mother now helped care for Frank, though I'd been running the old woman ragged. Fine. Let her pamper her secret grandson. The whole family eyed my factory job, waiting to snatch it for Frank someday. Except last time. John had labeled me mentally ill after 8 years. When I'd hunted him down post-murder. That Lily was wearing my uniform. The factory had nearly collapsed by then. She'd probably inherited my position just to get laid off. My guess was spot on. Sis, Pearl's voice snapped me back. Do you really think I can still take college exams? Pearl. You've always been smarter. Remember? You memorized textbooks in 1 read while I needed 10 tries. How many vocational grads end up teaching high school? My cousin's parents had trapped her in their timid little bubble, forbidding any ambition beyond their checklist. Her eyes lit up as Frank's cries reached new heights. I'll try. By the time John returned, leaning on his mother and the boyfriend, Pearl had regained her spark. Hearing Frank's screams, John shook off his helpers and lunged for the crib. What's wrong with my boy? Who knows? Pearl lied smoothly. Teacher instincts kicking in. Fed him. Changed him, maybe he missed his daddy. John gathered Frank like sacred cargo. Cooing promises. The old woman looked at Pearl pitifully staring at my daughter Nancy and remarked. Little boys are so much livelier and more mischievous. John is such a doting father. Pity my sister will have it rough from now on. You all better treat her right. Pearl placed the remaining pork trotters by my bedside. determined not to let the old hag steal a bite. As they left, I overheard Lily's husband ask Pearl, "Is this brother-in-law an idiot? Getting a vasectomy for some random kid instead of holding his own flesh and blood? Anyone would think the daughter's the foundling." Mother and son both paled. The old woman and John became slightly more civil afterward. The old woman tended to her son, waited on her precious grandson, and walked on eggshells around me. To keep our daughter from disturbing John's sleep, I made him take another bed. The hag took Frank at night, a colicky child who woke screaming 4 or 5 times nightly. My angelic daughter slept soundly after feedings, contentedly playing with her tiny hands and feet. Watching her peaceful face, my homicidal urges subsided. Until I saw John slip into the old woman's room. "Mom, Frank's been crying this whole time and you're still sleeping? I've gotten up 3 times already. Why not put Frank in their room? My old bones can't take this. Wait a few days. Mom, Frank's got a cold, Jane would never allow it. Tomorrow, make her unsalted lactation soup. Her milk's not enough for 2. John knew me well. I wouldn't touch snot-nosed Frank with a 10-foot pole. Who needs milk for a girl? Rice water's plenty. That Lily's a useless broodmare, if she could nurse. We wouldn't have Frank here so soon." The hag dabbed imaginary tears. "But she's skin and bones. Son, when's your payday? Fetch Lily some eggs. If she dotes on Lily so much, why not marry her off to John?" "Can't. Ma. Payroll sends my checks straight to Jane now. John forgot I was alive in the next room. Lily's suffering while Jane lives high. What's wrong with using her money? Honestly, Jane's selfish. All kids deserve raising, they're society's future. If she nurses Frank, she gets a son too." I tried swapping the brat during delivery, but Jane never left the maternity ward. Then Lily said Frank vomited that morning. By the time I returned, Jane had already brought home that worthless girl. John's voice turned venomous. "They say motherhood softens you. But Jane's heartless, won't even look at Frank." My daughter wailed as if sensing the venom. Feigning sleepiness, I rocked her gently. 3 days later, the hag left claiming I'd almost recovered and she needed rest. She never glanced at her granddaughter. "John, doesn't your mother care about her own flesh and blood?" I began my performance. My recovery period was over, time to act. "Maybe she's upset you neglect Frank." His audacity. "Jane, you'll treat Frank right after my procedure?" "Yes." I nodded. "Of course, now that I'm healed. Bring Frank here. Both will nurse." "But, did you register our daughter's birth?" "Not yet. Let's wait, I've used too much leave." True to form, he placed Frank beside my daughter. After a month of proper care, my daughter weighed 10 pounds. Frank barely grew. They now looked eerily similar. That night, John claimed he was working graveyard shift. I knew he visited Lily but said nothing, the timing wasn't right. While they slept, I swapped the infants' blankets. Come morning, I switched them back. John returned with cafeteria food, glaring as I held our daughter. "Can't you hear Frank crying?" I did. He wails when put down. I fed him breast milk while our daughter took formula. Lies, I'd given Frank water. His weight advantage over my girl had vanished. "Jane, since we're raising him, can't you show more care?" His act almost convinced me. But I must prioritize our daughter. The barb hit its mark. When he left for another night shift, I smiled. Crying infants made excellent white noise for me. Let's see how he liked it. The door slammed as I finished the swap. "Mrs. Johnson. They took John to the hospital, come quick." Lily stood there, unaware I knew exactly who she was. Hearing her say that, I panicked and rushed outside. Suddenly remembering the children were still home, I turned back and grabbed her hands. "Pearl, could you please watch the kids? I need to check on John at the hospital. I'll come right back if he's okay." "Thank you." I gave her 2 thumbs up before sprinting down the alley. Then I sneaked back home. Within 5 minutes, I saw Lily sneaking out with a bundle wrapped in my daughter's blanket. hiding in the shadows like a wolf ready to pounce. I waited until she left before checking the remaining child. My daughter was safe. Lily had stolen her own son. At midnight, Pearl returned after tailing Lily to a shady exchange. Leaving my daughter with her, I hurried to the hospital. What took you so long? John frowned. Someone just told me. I snapped. A skinny woman banged on our door saying you were hospitalized. The kids are alone. What if they cry tonight? He dismissed my worries. The neighborhood's safe. Clearly scheming to keep me there. He groaned dramatically. Jane. My head, maybe I hit it when I fell. Jane. Help me up, I'm dizzy. By dawn, I'd had enough. John. You're fine. This pain's probably from your vasectomy. Rest while I check on the kids. He finally relented. I bought Pearl tea eggs and fried dough sticks on my way back. Within an hour, we reported to the police with our children. When John returned to find cops swarming our home, his face briefly lit up before morphing into concern. What happened? He fake panicked, pushing through the crowd. Our child's missing. I said. No. Our precious Frank. He pointed at the remaining bundle. John. I interrupted, voice trembling. They took Frank. Your favorite. His expression cycled through shock, denial, and devastation within seconds. As he frantically checked our daughter's diaper, I bit my cheek raw to stop laughing. The veteran detective beside me didn't miss a twitch of John's face, that beautiful, damning collapse from conspiratorial glee to parental despair. No way. No way. Frankie. My son. Jane Johnson. Describe the woman who came to see you last night again. Let's see if she might know John Wilson. The veteran detective narrowed his eyes at John, watching his reaction. John bolted. With so many people around, could he really escape? Let me go. I need to save my son. Release me. Let me out now. John struggled like a trapped animal. John. Calm down. After all, you found Frankie abandoned. Maybe that woman was his real mother. Like Comrade Shin said, she clearly knows you. I speculated they'd probably sell the child far away. Don't stop me. I'm going to find Frankie. Frankie. The burly John suddenly wept like a child, collapsing to the ground as if mourning his own father's death. My John's always been soft-hearted. Even though Frankie's adopted, he's grown attached after just a few days. I fear he might break completely. I sighed to Pearl. Exactly. It could have been the real mother taking her child back. Pearl agreed loudly. As for Lily Green, I'd made inquiries. She wasn't evil incarnate, just came from a bad family background. Delicate as Willow Catkins, she excelled at making men feel protective. Local ruffians didn't interest her. She'd set her sights on John from poor peasant stock. But his parents rejected the useless socialite. John's affections meant nothing. When I was introduced as a match, he began two-timing, me supporting him financially while he supported his true love. Lily had boldness in affairs of the heart but cowardice elsewhere. Though I doubted she'd check the baby's gender under wraps, it remained risky. Upon returning home to find my daughter in Frankie's swaddle, I shoved Frankie's blanket into the stove and rewrapped my girl in Pearl's handmade quilt. Hearing Pearl's words, John froze, face darkening. He shoved through the crowd. I screamed after him, John. John. Come back. The police will help us. Stay strong. Don't do anything rash. The detective tilted his head at a plainclothes officer who followed John. I continued my performance. John's too tender-hearted. Worried we'd treat Frankie poorly after having our own son. He even got a vasectomy. My mournful expression and shocking revelation made even the stoic detective raise an eyebrow. Vasectomy for an adopted child now missing? Comrade Jane. Neighbors reported knocking at your door around 8 p.m. and again near midnight. Explain? The detective zeroed in. 2 weeks ago, John brought home a boy after dinner, naming him Frankie. Did you name your daughter? He interjected. No. He rarely holds her. I think he prefers sons over daughters. The detective turned to my cousin. Why visit your sister last night? Pearl lowered her gaze. Private matter. Another officer took her aside. The detective pressed me. She never told you? Could she have discovered something? I shook my head, clutching my infant. I know why anyway. Recently she broke off an engagement, but the man keeps harassing her. His awful parents pressured mine to force the marriage. Airing this publicly with the police present felt right. Forced marriage? In the new society? I'll report him to the Women's Federation. I spat. Before leaving, the detective warned quietly, guard your child closely. The situation's complicated. Sharp as ever. I feigned fright, my mind racing. After everyone left, I finally let out a long breath. Sis, we're in the clear now. Right? Pearl relaxed visibly. Should be fine. Focus on your college entrance exams. Everything will settle once you're in university. Now my main target was John. The police would surely track down Lily. But since she was Frank's biological mother, sentencing remained uncertain. Meanwhile, John had the same alibi as me yesterday, making his arrest even less likely. That evening, John returned home looking devastated. He sat motionless, still reeling from losing Frank, oblivious to his recent vasectomy. I secretly swapped his prescribed medication. During dinner, he mechanically swallowed the pills. John, don't lose hope. The police have experience. They'll find Frank. My consolation rang hollow. Find him? In my previous life, I never saw my stolen daughter again before dying. These people thought recovering their son would be easy? Days later, officers informed us, the child was stolen and sold by his own mother for 200 yuan. She claims to have handed him to traffickers at the train station. But we found no trace. Mrs. Johnson, the young officer added pointedly. The suspect appears acquainted with your husband. Stay vigilant. The child's parentage seems complicated. His implication about John's affair hung unspoken. Was she arrested? I pressed. Sent to labor reform. Selling your own child remains trafficking. Even for revenge. The officer's gaze hardened. Confronting John after work, I demanded, what's your connection to Lily? Why would she sell our son? And none. She pursued me before. He avoided eye contact. Better be true. How could anyone harm sweet Frank? The police say she's likely his real mother punishing his father. What kind of monster deserves that? Maybe the father's a scumbag who drove her to extremes. Enough. Stop talking. John slammed his chopsticks. Our daughter Nancy wailed. I soothed her, mentally noting, the medication's working. Next day, John returned bruised from factory brawls. Gossip spread about his vasectomy for an adopted son now lost, dubbing him the eunuch. When coworkers mocked his rooster without eggs, he snapped. Both fighters got equal punishment from management. Jane. Mom's sick. Give me money. Since Lily's arrest, John kept coming home for cash. What illness? Let's take her to the hospital. I grabbed Nancy's diaper bag. I'll accompany you dutiful daughter-in-law duties. My mother-in-law gaped when we interrupted her coal-making. Hospital tests revealed lung cancer. The diagnosis shattered her. John, unable to extort money, stormed to accounting for salary advance, then vanished. Probably mountain hopping to find Frank. At the factory, I negotiated with Director Lee. You've seen John's mental state. I need to sell my position to care for Nancy. Director Lee nodded sagely. The factory supports you. Name your price. $2,000 in the lot by the gate. I'll open a store to watch my child while earning. My request stayed reasonable, though in 10 years, these jobs would vanish. For now, factory benefits covered housing, healthcare, and schooling. The deal secured our future. Yet I chose to abandon all that. At first, everyone mocked me. Without a stable salaried job or an emotionally steady husband, I worked day and night selling clothes while raising my daughter alone. But those textile mill workers who gossiped about me never imagined I earned their annual salary in a single day. When Pearl's college acceptance letter arrived, John returned from the mountains, hunched over with a scruffy beard. He looked like a withered husk drained by demons. Learning I'd quit my job, he erupted into manic screams. I immediately called a psychiatric hospital ambulance to take him away. Diagnosed with psychotic disorder, he clung to delusions that our son had inherited my position, that he shared life with Lily as his wife, that he deserved effortless happiness. Later I visited him in the asylum. "Where's the daughter I gave birth to in your fantasies? Girl? That Johnson woman bore worthless trash." He cackled. "She thinks it's a son? Impossible. Only someone like gentle Lily could bear my heir. That arrogant Johnson bitch? Never. And the daughter? Discarded. Nobody wants girls." Memories of my daughter's tragic past life made me tremble with rage. Yet watching orderlies drag him away, I clenched my fists. For my child, I'd remain law-abiding. By Pearl's 8th birthday, I owned a car. One hectic day when I arrived late at school, teachers said she'd walked home but had a minor accident. My blood froze. Frank had died at 8 in that other lifetime. At the hospital, I found her with a stitched chin and a crescent-shaped scalp abrasion. Teachers explained she'd pushed another child from an oncoming van. As years passed, the moon-shaped bald patch remained. Years later, Pearl's final letter surfaced in my memories, after bringing our parents to live with me. I adopted the orphan girl I'd sponsored. The care home director said her scars, lunar scalp mark and wheat stalk chin stitches came from childhood heroism. I've named her Jane. She's my daughter now.